Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. So far, thanks. I have this dilemma I'll share with you, and the dilemma was whether to use a headset or not, and my initial impression now is I don't need it at all.
No.
Christine said, what if it really rains really hard and no one can hear anything you're saying? So if it starts chucking down and then you can't hear me, that's already, I just have to go and pick it up and put it on there and you'll be able to hear me, but it's so much nicer not to have to use that. Excellent, thank you.
Would be nice for rain.
Sorry? Oh, wishing away the rain. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Without wishing away the rain. If the rain comes, fine. I've got a little headset that we can use if it's in order. Hippocrates, who was that Greek physician, in 400 BC said, "A wise man should consider that health is the greatest of human blessings and learn how by his own thoughts to derive benefit from his illnesses." So the stories we tell ourselves become our realities. This is my backstory. This is my current reality. The idea for doing a show about my backstory came to me on my chiropractor's table last May or so, and I had about 6 weeks of chronic hip sciatica, back pain I just couldn't get rid of. I had Endone and Valium and all the drugs didn't work, I couldn't sleep. And I was lying on her table and she said, "Look, I'll try this process called the lightning process, where you just make up a happy story. Find a joyful memory and just run it like a video." I go, okay. So the first thing that came to me was throwing the frisbee with the family in the paddock. So that came to me. She said, "Well, okay, see who's there, what are the colours, what are the smells, what are the sounds, just run the video." So I ran the little frisbee game and she said, "This is great, this is your story, you just tell your story." And I said, "Oh, this is like my backstory, isn't it?" She said, "Yeah, it's like your backstory." So we both laughed and said, "Well, is it my backstory or is it my backstory?" Yes, we saw the ambiguity in that. I said, "Maybe I can do a show about my backstory." And we said, "Yeah, all you need is a captive audience." Voila! Thank you for being captive. Yeah. Yes. So, I've got a lot of books that have helped me over the years with my back. So this is sort of a show, and it's a bit like a eulogy. So if you find anything you'd like to say once I've passed, you're quite welcome to take notes. Anything relevant. And it's a bit like stand-up, but it's not very funny. And it's a workshop. There'll be personal involvement with everyone. So let's start off with the workshop part. We're going to have a show of hands. Quite often I'll ask you for a show of hands. So let's start off. Who's ever had a sore back? Great. Now when there is a show of hands, what I'd like is you to make a little bit more effort and straighten the elbow. Yeah, that's straight, right? The elbow's not straight there. Because we're going to stretch here through the latissimus dorsi. This muscle down here needs stretching, and all the intercostals in the ribs. So pointing when you ask for a show of hands, and then maybe you could just use your index finger and point towards the ceiling. Beautiful. And then we're just going to draw a little circle with it. Oh, that looks so good. This is like a bad disco move. Great. Okay, thank you. Now, to balance that, we do need to raise the other hand. So we'll find someone a question that involves everyone. Who's ever been to the Ash Tree Gallery in Taradale? Yes, you need to use your other arm to balance the stretch. This is the Ash Tree Gallery in Taradale. I was a bit worried there for a moment. And then the finger again, the little circle in the sky. Excellent, excellent, beautiful. So that's the workshop part of it. I will ask you every now and then for a show of hands. Yes. I've been a little bit lost for words in preparation for this show. I was lost for words to describe my relationship with my back. When I meet people in the street that I haven't seen for a long time, walking down the streets of Castlemaine, the question I get is, "How's your back?" Or friends ring up after I haven't seen them for a while, they go, "Oh, how's your back?" So my back is has been for the last 40 years my signature. There's a word I was trying to find. It's my logo, it's my brand, it's my sort of label that everybody, when they see Tina, they say, oh, back, how's your back? So I sort of have a strong relationship with my back. Now, as I said, all these books, I've got lots of books that have been very useful. There's one in particular that I'd like to share with you. It's this one. This has got everything in it, as you can imagine. Because it's all connected, isn't it amazing? It's all connected. Now, let me find the appropriate page. Here it is. This is my favourite page. There it is. Look at that. Stay there. Yes, the spine. It's a bit of a quiz as well, so I'm going to ask you, this is cheating of course because I've Janet in the front row. How many vertebrae are there in the human body? Lots, yeah. This is a quiz, there's prizes.
38?
Nearly, not quite.
36.
Not quite that many, no.
28.
32.
Or nearly wrong. One more, 33. 33 vertebrae. So we've got 7 in the cranial, 12 in the thoracic, and 5 in the sacrum. And then down here we have the lumbar there. And then the sacrum vertebrae are fused. The coccyx and the sacrum have all become fused evolutionary. So previously when we were... Sorry?
We can't wag it then.
No, see, exactly, we can't wag it. We used to wag it when we were on all fours. The sacral used to wag our tail. Those vertebrae were the wagging ones. But we've become fused as opposed to confused. My critical, not just mine, most humans' critical spot is between L5, the 5th lumbar vertebrae, and the 1st sacral vertebrae. So that point where we had stood up and become Homo erectus, so we've suddenly gone from all fours to standing up, the pressure, just correct me if I'm wrong anytime, I'm talking like, this is Janet, my physiotherapist. I'm preaching to the converted and I'm saying, oh God, I'm talking rubbish. Anyway, L5S1 is where most people have trouble. Would you agree? Good, L5. Sorry, I won't involve you anymore. L5S1 is the critical bit of the spine where often our spine is put out. Now, that was good. What a catch. I can't catch because I can't juggle. I was just, every now and then when I thought about doing this show, I thought, how can you do a whole show without any juggling? So there's no juggling. So, yeah, the spine keeps us upright. Now, is there anybody here that likes doing cryptic crosswords? Good, not many. Well, that's surprising. Wow, in this audience, I love doing cryptic crosswords, mainly because I'm really good at anagrams. Anybody else like anagrams? Anagrams are great. Yes, people like anagrams. That's how Christine got me into doing crosswords, because she was doing cryptic crosswords, and I could never understand it, but I was really good at anagrams, so I could work out, Scrabble. Basically, no one ever beats me at Scrabble. And yes, the 9-letter word every day, I can just see that. So anagrams are fantastic. I love anagrams. And the ones I like are the ones that are connected, like garden and danger. You jumble up the letters. Or silent and listen. Earth and heart. Spine and penis. Once you realise that, you'll never forget it. So, of all the books that have helped over time, this one's called A Mind of Its Own. It's called A Cultural History of the Penis. So, they are available for loan anytime you like. Cultural History of the Penis, A Mind of Its Own. Not to be distracted, of course, no, never. A cultural history of my back. So the history is 40 years ago, we lived in Mittagong, New South Wales, and a bunch of blokes, about 5 or 6 of us, decided that we'd make a bit of money taking firewood to Sydney to sell. It was about 100 kilometres south of Sydney, and we had a farmer who had a big paddock full of really old, dead eucalypts that he was happy to get rid of. So we hired a chainsaw. Who's ever hired a chainsaw? Really bad idea. Just buy one. It's just hire chainsaws, yeah. So we hired a chainsaw and we had a flat top truck and we had lots of Hessian bags. So we worked all day Saturday, chainsawing, picking the bags up, putting them on the back of the truck, and oh, this is great, just to see dollar signs everywhere, it's going to be great. Yes. And then Sunday morning I woke up early, which I did because I had a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. Got up early, everyone else is sleeping in. I thought, I'd go and be a really good bloke, because I used to love being a good bloke. I'll go and start early. I'll get chopping before everyone wakes up, and they'll say, oh, look at you, done you, great, good on you. So I had a quick cup of tea and I went outside, started the chainsaw. Chainsaw. Oh, it's even scary just minding it. You start the chainsaw, and then went, oh, geez, that hurt. Oh. And then, not being the sharpest knife in the drawer, I just kept trying to start the chainsaw. That's like, keep going. And then I just fell on the ground, screaming. I just felt like I'd been chopped in half. Like there was just, the pain was unbelievable. And this half worked and the bottom half worked, but they were broken here and I couldn't move. And I was just lying on the ground screaming. I'd never had pain like that before. So Christine came out and got help, and they somehow carried me inside the bed. And I just couldn't believe that, the pain. And they got the chiropractor to come out, the local chiropractor came out and sort of put his hands near me and go, whoa, I'm not going anywhere near that. There's so much sort of heat coming off there. And luckily, one of the other men that I was gathering firewood with was on a methadone program. I was very fortunate. And he was able to come and give me half of his methadone every day, which is really nice. It didn't convert me, but I guess for pain relief, it was excellent. Yeah, I guess alternatively I would have had to go to hospital, and that would have coped like that. But so I had a couple of weeks of lying in bed, half of his methadone dose every day. I used to look forward to that, not being able to sleep. That was 40 years ago. And then I had about 20 years of living in fear, basically. I just used to put my back out so often. And I'd go to the chiropractor, that was my default setting, find a chiropractor, and they lay you on the table and they do this thing where they put your leg over your side and they lean on it and you get crunch, 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 crunch. And it felt a little bit easier sometimes, but not all the time. And I can see my diaries. I used to work a lot as an artist in residence and doing shows, and twice a year maybe, there'd be this great big scroll in my diary which said, back! And I had 2 weeks of work that I just couldn't get out of bed. And that would be those 2 weeks gone. And I lived in fear, I suppose, of wondering when it was going to happen next. It was really just bed rest and chiropractors. That was my solution. And the crunch came in 2002. We had a family wedding in Thailand. We went to Thailand, family wedding on a beach. It's great. And the other family we were marrying into were English. So we had a very, very heated cricket match on the beach. And I'd been a really good fast bowler, bowled really fast, and put my back out, bowling fast on the beach. Oh, bugger. And then we had a bus ride, then a ferry, then a taxi, then a train, and then a plane to get home from Thailand. And then we got home, and 2 days later was Grace's 18th birthday party. And so we had to get everything ready, the marquee and the tables and chairs. And I just remember just holding onto the veranda rail, just crying, holding onto the veranda rail. I just keep going. Because I hadn't actually discovered these things yet. These amazing things that I couldn't live without. Looks, from this side, it looks like a sort of world championship boxing sort of wrestling thing. But anyway, my back brace, I was tempted to put it on for the show, but tempted to pay. But I wasn't even tuned into back braces then, but I couldn't do anything without one these days, physical. And then I was lying on the lounge room floor crying, not being able to move. And Christine said, I'm going to call the ambulance. No, not the ambulance, no. Because the ambulance to me meant surgery. Basically, my whole 20 years had been in fear of spinal surgery. You know, I'd known people that had had fused vertebrae, and I somehow didn't want to do that. I have a fear of spinal surgery. So as soon as she said, I'll call the ambulance, I go, no, they're just going to cut me up and glue it together. Didn't want that. But the ambulance came. She called them anyway. And they put me on this little trolley thing in the lounge room, and they gave me that green stick to suck. Oh, better than the methadone. What is pethidine? I didn't care less then. It was just no pain at all. It was fantastic. So the ambulance to Castlemaine. Anyone been in an ambulance?
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of people been in. Aren't they fantastic? Love it. Great. Well, good when you need them. Yeah. And it took me to Castlemaine Hospital. I had 10 days in Castlemaine Hospital. Anyone been in Castlemaine Hospital? Yeah, a few people as well. Great hospital. So 2 or 3 days before I could actually get out of bed, I think, and then I had the sort of walkie-wheel up, going up the corridor with the walkie-wheel. Oh God, I can walk. That's great. I thought maybe I couldn't walk. Oh, I just felt so old. Like I felt like I was like 70 or something.
Be careful.
Yeah. And my GP, Danny Silver at the time, he was on duty when I arrived at the hospital, and I was in quite a good mood by then. And I said to him, if you're thinking of surgery, if you're thinking of the knife, you can do this. Well, not having any of that stuff. Anyway, so hospital. And then I came out of while in Castlemaine Hospital, I went to the physio department. Hadn't had much contact with physios before that. I was just a chiropractor person. And they sold me this book, which is called Treat Your Own Back. And Melissa was the physio working at the hospital then. And she was very adamant. She said, I don't want to see you back here. And this was quite illuminating to me, Treat Your Own Back. It had this lovely little bit at the start I'll read you, which is, I was quite surprised by. It said, the main point of this book is that the management of your back is your responsibility. Of course, you can call on people with particular skills, doctors, physios, chiropractors. But in the end, only you can really help yourself. Oh, right. Oh, I had to think about that. I mean, I could help myself. Someone told me about a new chiropractor in town whose name was Sue Herringslake, and she was supposedly a different sort of chiropractor. She did gentle chiropractic with a little clicker thing that click click. So I went to see her, and I'd never been to see a practitioner like that before. She asked all these really weird questions like, how do you feel when you put your back out? I don't know how I feel, I'm a bloke. I have no idea. How do you feel? I feel stupid. Yeah, like bending down, tying my laces up. So many different situations. I remember one time Grace was in kinder, and I was bending down to kiss her to say goodbye. She went to kinder, and that was 3 days on Mandy Fantasy's floor, like in the neighbour's floor. I just couldn't move. So I felt stupid. I said, yeah, that's what I feel. When I put my back out, often it's not doing really hard manual labour, it's doing something really simple. Often the morning after. So I've had a big day on the chainsaw, or I've been lifting and laying mud bricks, and then the next morning, tying my laces, whatever, ping. I always thought that it'd be good. They should invent a morning after pill for backs. Cure that. So Sue Herringslake, yeah, she was very different sort of chiropractor. And she said, so when was the first time you ever remember being stupid? Can identify with that. And like a flash, like just like that. Oh, when I was about 2 or 3, I remember sitting on my auntie's toilet floor eating my poo. Oh. And my mum and my auntie came to the door and said, stupid! Stupid! And I'd never thought of that before at all. I never remembered that. And suddenly I just remembered, when's the first time you've ever been called stupid? Yeah, that was then. So she asked a lot of interesting questions like that put my back in a different context. And yeah, I got a bit better. I managed it a little bit better. And then in 2005, I went to hospital again. That just got bad, got to that stage. And this time I said to Christine, call the ambulance this time. Yeah, call the ambulance. So I went to Castlemaine Hospital again in 2005. Same scenario, 10 days in hospital, learning to walk again, getting excited by being able to go outside into the fresh air. And then I changed my routine. Before that, I used to do a lot of yoga. In 2005, 2006, I started to do Tai Chi, which made a lot stronger. My legs got a lot stronger, so in spending a lot of time in horse stance, I suddenly had really strong calves, and my back was a lot stronger because my legs were stronger, so I practiced Tai Chi a lot. And the other thing I discovered was acupuncture, which was very helpful for my back. This is a free plug. Grace, my daughter, is an acupuncturist in Castlemaine, so if you need it, this is called product placement. So those two things were important. I discovered acupuncture and I discovered Tai Chi as a practice. And then I found Sue Herring's Lake and moved away. I found a different chiropractor in Castlemaine called Mark Peck, and she was of a type of chiropractor called network chiropractic that was very gentle. She had a little clicker and she made me do most of the work. I had to do the work. She wasn't adjusting like that. And she had a book that she used, which is called The 12 Stages of Healing by Donald Epstein, who was the founder of Network Chiropractic. And the 12 stages of healing I found very interesting. The first stage is called suffering. So it's right now I am helpless, nothing works at this time. So stage one is that time when you call the ambulance, when just nothing works. Someone fix me, someone do something about this, because I can't. And it goes through from stage one. Stage 4 is called reclaiming our power. So at stage 4, I take my power back, I honour my inner being, and I reclaim my wholeness. So you take a little bit more responsibility for yourself. And so it progresses through stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to stage 12, which is called community. And by stage 12, we no longer, at stage 1, we're self-obsessed. We just want someone to fix us. But stage 12, the modern quest for community is a quest for one's personhood. The essence of community is wholeness, and there's a rave about, by stage 12, you're ready to give back to the community that you live in. So I look at the back and I see Kate, I see people who give to the community, who put in masses of time and effort doing whatever they do in a voluntary capacity to make this community that we live in richer. That's stage 12 of healing. So you're very, very evolved, Kate. That's great. Well done. And so that's been a really important part of realising. And there was a lovely quote as well. What was that quote that you gave me, Grace, about the 12 stages of healing? It's a bit like a Stephen Still song, that if you can't be in the stage you love, love the stage you're in. And then at the same time, around 2006, Christine was working in Bristol for a year, and I visited her, and she discovered Five Rhythms ecstatic dance. Yeah. At the bottom of the church hall in Bristol, there was Five Rhythms ecstatic dance, and I went along, and I became totally converted, because Gabriel Roth was a dance therapist who devised the scheme of Five Rhythms ecstatic dance as a way of healing, as movement being a path. This is her first book called Maps to Ecstasy, and she summarises it like this. Movement is the medium of change. In my experience, if you put your psyche in motion, it will heal itself. The enemy is inertia, be it of energy in the body, walls around the heart, or fixed attitudes in the mind. Movement is the medicine. So Five Rhythms dance, weekly in Castlemaine, or sometimes 5-day workshops in Melbourne, has been a large part of listening to my body. I guess the essence of Five Rhythms is listening to my body. So I know when I've got a little bit of a niggle there, maybe I shouldn't go out chainsawing today. Whereas previously I would just go, yeah, I could do it. I can do anything. Yeah, I'm invincible. I had this great notion that, yeah, gosh, I'm not going to stop just because I've got to stop back. Wow. So I've probably got a little bit smart. I might be nearly the smartest knife in the drawer now, maybe. And then we're up to last May, when I was getting a bucket of water out of the dam to prime the pump. I'll just mind this one really slowly. I was getting a bucket of water out of the dam really slowly like that. The water's really heavy. Yeah. And I lifted up the bucket of water and went, oh, gee, that's it. Oh, bucket of water. Oh. That wasn't the main problem. The lesson I learned that day was really important, in that I had a massage lined up in the afternoon in Castlemaine. And I went and had the massage, and then in the hour or two after the massage, I just went completely into a ball of black pain. It was just a pain like I'd almost never experienced before. And it got worse and worse. And I drove home and I could hardly get out of the car. And then the logic there, as I found out later, was that when you put your back out, to use those terms, or something's maladjusted, malaligned, the muscles go, and they hold on really tight so that you don't hurt yourself anymore. So I went and had a massage, and the muscles just go, nice, and the muscles all relaxed. And that maladjustment just went, and that was the first time I've ever had sciatica. I had pain down my leg, just excruciating for about 5 or 6 weeks, that I just couldn't get rid of. As I said, Endone, Valium, I couldn't sleep, and it was just the most excruciating pain. I tried this TENS machine, little electrodes you can put on your back to try and stimulate it. And I went to my PEC, my chiropractor, and I said this amazing, tricky thing had happened where there was a time when I didn't have any pain. And I remember just walking around the kitchen going, oh, I don't think it hurts. I think it's gone. Are you sure? Oh, hang on, I'll just look a bit more closely. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's gone. Yeah, I'm still there. So I was explaining this process that I found really puzzling, because I wanted more than to get rid of this pain, but when it was gone, there was some part of me that wanted the security of finding the pain again, so I'd go looking for it. And it was so comforting. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, everything's still normal. It's bad. And yeah, she was fascinated by that process. In that neural pathway, as she described it, had been set up by 6 weeks of chronic, constant, acute pain. The chronic was like a neural freeway had been set up, so the pathway from my hip and my sciatica to my brain was really difficult to interrupt. And then she started the lightning process. That's the first time when she said, look, we're going to go through this thing where you tell yourself a story, a happy memory, and that is this book here that she put me onto, which is called The Introduction to the Lightning Process by Phil Parker. And so the lightning process is, he's an osteopath, and he devised the technique of telling yourself a happy memory, or running a story 5 or 6 times a day, like a guided meditation for yourself, and as a way of just breaking up the neural freeway. And so I started to do that. I'd just lie down and I'd see the Frisbee game, run it, took 2 or 3 minutes to run through that. I thought, this is going to work. But then gradually, just over the next week, and then I got so fascinated that I started to make a list of all my happy memories. And I had beach walks in Kenya, and I had African this, and I had the English mountains there, and I thought, oh great, I'm going to make a list of all my happy memories and run them as videos. I just spent all day just running videos of my happy memories. It was great. But it did have that effect of breaking up the habit. So yeah, it's a fantastic process. And one chapter heading here, he says, until destructive feedback loops are broken, ill health and poor function will prevail across the body. So that notion of breaking the feedback loops. And then at the end he says, discovering you are even more influential in your health and your life than you could ever imagine might just be the best thing you ever do. And I think that has become the best thing I've done. That obviously way back in Treat Your Own Back, I thought, okay, I have to take more responsibility. But that technique of taking more responsibility ended up with last October I had a week's work in Wangaratta doing shows. I was doing 10 shows I had lined up, and I'll just read you my diary. This is my journal. I keep rambling on in the evenings sometimes. So this is my journal. I'll just read it as I wrote it on the Monday night of my week in Wangaratta.
We'll hear you.
The long drive to Bright, the bad sleep, the futon, cold. First show, taking my pants and shoes off. Ping! The pain. Oh no! Oh, the pain. Can I finish the show? Can I finish the week? Can I finish the weekend? I've really done it. Maybe I haven't done it. Oh, maybe it's a denial. No, it's not really. I haven't done it. Oh, yes, it is. There it is. Across the blind hip bone. Wow! More. How's that? Yeah? Okay. The power of electricity. Fantastic. Just don't have to go too close to that. Anyway. I can talk. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, I'll keep going because it's the best backdrop you could have. It's a bit feedback. Anyway, so I put my back out. I'll keep going. The first response is to tell someone. Tell the kinder staff. Call Christine. The show is going slowly, so I don't have to pick up stuff off the floor. I can sit down and put my knees on. Oh, I've got Vivian in the car. Is it alright? Yeah, okay. I've got ibuprofen. There's a big fence. I didn't drive. I had to drive to my Airbnb, meeting her. Do I tell her the story? No. Do I text Christine? Do I call Grace? Do I call Hannah? I want to shout it out. I want to tell everyone, I've done my back. I put my back out. I want sympathy. And yet I don't want to talk about it. The realization that the story I tell becomes reality. How are you? She says. The answer is bluff. Fake it till you make it. There's strength in not telling my story. Not texting, not calling home. It's not denial, but it's just not the story. It's not my story now. I sit here and it hurts. I can feel it hurting. There, right on my right hip bone. But remember, the learning process. Tell another story. Do the work. So I kept going and I finished the week. I did 10 shows that week, whereas previously all my other diaries just had crossed out. It's scary, isn't it? Turn it down a bit. I don't need it now, do I?
No.
Good. How wonderful to use it though. Wow. Power of preparation. Now I'm completely lost. Anyway, it's nearly apart from this book, one more book is called The Body Keeps the Score. This is a book about there's so many books, so much research about neuroscience. And this is The Body Keeps the Score. So the body remembers the trauma, and we have to retrain the body away from remembering the trauma, because the body wants to remember the trauma. Now, that's about, apart from reminding you what Hippocrates said, that a wise man should consider that health is the greatest of human blessings and learn how by his own thoughts to derive benefit from his illnesses. And I guess that's it. The story you tell becomes your reality. Now I thought that when I wrote down the story you tell becomes your reality, what reminded me of the people that I have taught juggling to us. So I spent most of my working life doing workshops in service skills, teaching people to juggle, and often the response is, oh, I can't catch. Or in a situation where you get people to sing, oh, I can't sing. Or you tell them about 5 rhythms dance, oh, I don't dance. So the story that you have about yourself is your reality. So that's my backstory. There's a little bit of my backstory. Oh, thank you. Isn't that great? Yeah. The moment I pick this up. This is my mum's diary. This is the biggest book. This is the littlest book. This is my mum's diary from 1948. So my mum passed away about 18 years ago, and in cleaning up her stuff, I found this, her diary from 1948. And being really good at maths, I thought, hey, I was born February the 3rd, 1949. 1948. If I count back 40 weeks, find out what's going on. So I did. If you count, yeah, that's right. If you count back 40 weeks from my birthday, my mum, 5th of May. Now, my mum and dad met in a very interesting way. My dad was a sailor. They were both 19 years old. My dad was a sailor in Korea. And he got a magazine sent over from, well, they just got magazines sent from Australia. And he was reading a magazine one day, and he saw a photo of a woman in the magazine. Now, my mum had sent her photo in with a little one of those information things. You know, I like playing bowls and I like to sing. And this is the photo of my mum that was in the magazine. Oh. Isn't it? Yeah, she's pretty cute. Yeah. Sort of genetic, isn't it? Yeah. So my dad saw that photo and he wrote a letter to the magazine, whatever it was, Australasian Post or the equivalent, said, oh, I wonder if you could put me in contact with Margaret in that photo. So they forwarded on the letter and she wrote back to him and they made contact. Next time his ship was in Melbourne, they made contact. It was like sort of analogue Tinder. Yeah. So they'd known each other for about 6 months then, and he came to visit every now and then, and she was still living with her parents in Preston. And so it says, the 5th of May, tonight we stayed home again, but we went to bed quite early. Next day, I didn't go to work today. Al and I did the messages, and tonight we sat by the fire till 3:30. It's our last night together for a time. So he went off again. And then about 3 weeks later, 3 weeks later, oh, I'm home from work, I feel really sick. I'm still in bed. Oh, next day, I'm still in bed, I feel very ill. I sent a wire and asked Alan to come down and visit. So that's the 2nd of June, my dad came to visit. 2nd of June, and then you fast forward to the 19th of June, Alan and I were married today. Yes. About time. About time as well. 6 months after they met. They were 19 years old. I don't know what they've been doing with their time. But the problem was that my mother's family was very intense Catholic and my father's family were very intense Protestants. And so when they told them their intention that they wanted to get engaged, they said, we're thinking of getting engaged. And both families said, no, no way, no way. We're not having any of that. Nothing to do with them, nothing to do with them. And I guess they thought the only way they could solve that problem was to be pregnant. Yeah, so I was child of love. I was wanted. And so they got pregnant and then got married straight away. And that was me. And the stories I got when I was little, first year, 18 months of my life, I had really bad eczema. And they used to tie my hands to the side of the cot so that I couldn't scratch myself. And we lived with my grandma, and she couldn't stand my screaming, so she would come and untie me. And then I would scratch myself and I'd end up in this pool of blood in the morning. So there was a bit of conflict going on between my mum and her mum about, no, don't untie his hands, I can't stand the screaming. So I had eczema really badly for the first couple of years. And then about 5 years old, the eczema evolved into asthma. So I became quite a serious childhood asthmatic, children's hospital. And remembering those times with the doctors, when they used to do house calls, the doctors would come in the middle of the night and I'd be blue and they'd give me an injection of adrenaline and I could breathe again. So I spent my first 18 years in fear of dying, basically. I had a little tub of pink pills, they were called ephedrine, I think. They were like an adrenaline pill that I took, and the asthma, my lungs would relax and I could breathe again. So if I didn't have my little pills, if I was somewhere at all as a teenager or even early 20s, if I didn't have my pills, I would just panic, I would fear. As soon as I didn't have my pills, the reaction would be, my reality became, oh, I can't breathe. And I'd try and yawn. The first signal was that I'd try and yawn, and I couldn't get enough air to yawn, and then asthma would take over. But the crunch came when I was 18. I went to university and I did psychology because I came from this totally crazy family. They were really, really weird, and I wanted to go to uni to study psychology and find out why everyone was so crazy. I didn't find out. But the interesting thing was that in that course, in first year uni, we did a unit by John Bowlby on attachment theory, and his theory was all about the prenatal environment, so that your environment in the first 9 months creates your personality to a large extent. And so people say the first 2 years are really important, but his theory was that the first 9 months are really important. And if those 9 months are at all traumatic, and you've got one family fighting with the other family, you've got Catholics against Protestants, and you've got denial and you're torn apart, then it's possible that the growing person in there is slightly traumatized and things don't go very well. So I was really thrilled to hear that, because it just took all the responsibility away. I thought, why am I so mucked up? Like, why am I, why me, Lord? I got asthma. And growing up a Catholic, of course, I used to do deals with myself all the time. So as a Catholic teenage boy, you do deals with yourself that if you don't get hit by the bus, I'll never masturbate again. You do deals. So it was the same with my back, that I thought, if I could only get rid of myself back, I will never whinge about anything trivial again. No, I'll always be happy and contented. Didn't work. Those deals never worked. But I was really happy to find out that there was some other responsibility or some other source. So that was great. It went a long way to curing my asthma, to find out that there was a reason, in a way, behind it, that I wasn't just cursed with being an asthmatic. And so the fact of going to university in 1967 and then discovering sex, drugs and rock and roll and then giving up the Catholic Church made asthma just fade away. It's great. Now, there is one more little bit of the show, which is the sing-along bit. And I thought we should find a good song to sing about backs, a back song. I went through a few. There's a few, of course, you might know some. Like there's Back in Black, AC/DC, probably won't do that one. Or Looking Out My Back Door, or Back in the USSR, or anything by Johann Sebastian. Or there's this one. This is a good one you might know. You might be able to help me, Johnny. Jojo was the man who thought he was a loner, but he was another man. Jojo left his home in Tucson, Arizona, bought some California grass. Get back, get back, get back to where you once belonged. Good. Get back, get back, get back to where you once belonged. Yeah, that's a good one, but I found another one, which is quite obscure. It's called My Back Pages, which is a Bob Dylan song, an old, quite obscure Bob Dylan song. It doesn't include the word My Back Pages anywhere in the song. I don't know why it's called My Back Pages. The words are really difficult. It's my Bob Dylan token thing. And doesn't have a chorus, but it has a really interesting refrain, which is quite helpful, which we could all do. The refrain is, the words are, I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now, which sometimes resonates with me. When I was in hospital not being able to walk, I thought, yeah. So the refrain goes like this at the end of every verse. Ah, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. Beautiful, let's try it again. Ah, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. Beautiful. Heads and shoulders, knees and toes, elbows, back and feet. I've compromised each part of me by being indiscreet. Yeah, my indiscretion knows no bounds. I've been beaten around the ground. Ah, but I was so much older and I'm younger than that now. sword all day and lifted cups without a hint of pain. But tying my laces or wiping my bum, there it goes again. Yeah, mindfulness is that magic word. It's about being here right now. Ah, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than I am now. I love Patidine, Ford and Voltaren, ibuprofen and any opioids. But Endone and Valium, they're the ones that I avoid. It's my firm belief that the greatest relief comes from just breathing in and out. Ah, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than I am now. Turmeric and gelatin, magnesium and vitamin C, apple cider vinegar and fish oil are so anti-inflammatory. Yeah, inflammation is the curse. I'd avoid it if you can somehow. Oh, I was so much older then, I'm younger than I am now. Falcon Christ and Shiatsu, Alexander and osteopaths, acupuncture and physio, massage and chiropractic. Yeah, the feeling of feeling well is so sweet. I love you then and now. Oh, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than I am now. 70, yeah, I'm here again, like so many times before. This reincarnation trip, such a blessing and a chore. I learned my lessons endlessly from Buddha and the Tao. Ah, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than I am now. Well, my song is sung, my show is done, my backstory is complete. 70 years of being me, sometimes teen, sometimes me. I thank you for your indulgence, and the time to stop is now. Ah, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than I am now. Thanks for coming and listening. This is the third time I've done this show, and as I said, the origin came about on my chiropractor's table. I should do it. So I thought, in this little intimate setting, if you want, I'm quite happy to take any questions. Q&A, if anyone wants to take it any further. Yes, Damien.
Yeah, the Hippocrates thing about getting the benefit using your mind. Have you found you've got your benefit, or you that's part still to come?
This is my benefit. I'm doing a show, that's my benefit. I've turned it so that I can, milk it for what it's worth. No, I think, the benefit from my illness. I think I'm in a better place than I was 2002. I like to say there's no place for complacency, so that there's no telling that tomorrow morning I get up and don't put my back out, because it's always there. It's like a structural weakness I have. But I guess it's a cliche where people talk about their illness as being the best thing. I'm looking at you. No, it's not the best thing that ever happened to you. That's right. But you hear that cliche of people who've my dad died of cancer. That when you get a serious illness, that it's something that has changed the way you behave. So I guess my back has become my mindfulness monitor, if you like. So if I never had a back injury, I might be really mindless.
That blunt nose.
Do you find that the storytelling thing that you can apply it to other aspects of your life as well? Or have you noticed that the story that you might be telling about another aspect of your life, you can change that story too?
The happy story memory,
Yeah.
that running this lightning
So
process
not so
story.
much in health necessarily, but in
Yeah.
other aspects of your life, go, oh, this is what I usually do. Can I?
Yeah.
Is it sort of cross applicable to other?
Yeah, it does actually. It was quite a profound experience. Sorry, repeat the question.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. Christine said repeat. Do I find that? What was the question? I find that telling the story, my happy memory story that I run, has reverberations for other parts of my life rather than just for my summarising and running. Good. So yeah, I think it does. Since doing that process, since doing it as an actual practice rather than because you just you have memories randomly, they come up, but as an actual physical practice, I'm going to lay down on the floor and I'm going to remember that frisbee game. Now I'm going to do it as an actual practice. Then it does lead to being able to use that practice in other ways, not just as a way of alleviating pain. Yeah, I think it has become a joyful, what the instructions were to find a joyful, happy memory that you can really indulge in, and the pleasure from the memory will just replace that. It doesn't always work easily. It's not easy, but I guess it's like everything. It's just ongoing practice. So I would do it 6 or 7 times a day. I'd just take 2 or 3 minutes to lie down on the floor and just run the video. And there, oh, it's great. I enjoyed it. It's great. Look at that. Yeah, every time I caught the frisbee.
Yeah.
What do you do with other happy stories? Anything? Because you said that,
Yeah, I had a list. I listed
Yeah.
about 15 happy stories, and it was great. For a while there, when I was in deep using them, I used to go through them.
Okay.
So, I'll do that bushwalk up through where we went one time. There, even in our forest, there are special walks and places that we go to in our forest. All times that we've been overseas, special places, memories to go to and run them as I guess that's the difference. Rather than just a random memory that appears, maybe stimulated by something you've read or something you've seen. Oh yeah, I remember I was there as well in snow. But to do it as an actual practice, yeah, it was great to write down a list of 15, 20. Oh, right, see how many happy memories I can find. Yeah, it's great.
The impact of adult circus classes on your back, did it help or was it a challenge?
It helped. It was great. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I was really afraid to hang by my knees. Like when I first went, so I did Castlemaine Circus aerial class for a year with Sonny, my grandson, and the first time we had to hang upside down in Hock, so I had to hang by my knees on the trapeze, and I couldn't do it. I was so scared. I was just, I had to get the teacher to hold my feet so that I knew I wasn't going to fall off. And yeah, after a couple of months I could do that. I still do it in the shed now. I still hang by my knees as something to do for fun. But once again, really, it was another. What was I saying? Learn from you. So my problem with that class was that we were doing handstands to build up our strength. We were doing where we put our hands down again and we walk our feet up the walls to get really strong hands. And I sprained my wrists and put my neck out really badly. So yeah, I'm still happy story. I'm learning to moderate my exuberance. That's the word. Yes. But the actual aerial class, the strength, upper body strength, and working on the silk and working in trapeze was great. That was fine for my back. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I got quite strong because it was a really strong core. So that my core got stronger from being able to lift myself up and sit in a trapeze and do that. Yeah, it was good. Recommend it to anyone. Next bit of rain. Isn't it supposed to rain all night?
Maybe.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. That was.